Hello, my name is Julie Hughes Quintana, and I'm in a single group. My project is an elderly coloring book to promote mental wellness during the pandemic. As you get older, the risk for catching COVID-19 does too. Elders are some of the most susceptible to the virus, making quarantining especially important for them. Because of this, they also become more vulnerable to pandemic-induced anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Older adults who have experienced mental illness in the past are especially likely to experience it again during quarantine. during quarantine. Despite this, it may be difficult for elders to reach out regarding mental health issues and concerns due to generational differences. Instead, we need to reach out to them. The big question is, how can we help elders experiencing pandemic-induced anxiety, depression, and loneliness? These are my grandmas. The grandma on my left is my grandma Penny, who I call Don. And the grandma on the right is my grandma Teresa, who I call Abuelita. Don is known for being super hyper for a 77-year-old. Before COVID, she used to run around with me and my two siblings everywhere we go. She is a crazy grandma because she never wants to be inside and is always approaching strangers and talking with them, especially if she has a dog. My abuelita has many grandchildren and other family members here and in Mexico. Before quarantine, she would travel the border every week to be a part of our whole family and everyone's lives. She would be very active and attend all of the parties we held. Because of COVID, neither of my grandmas have been able to travel around as much. They've kind of been forced to stay inside, and this has especially affected Dawn because she lives with my step grandpa who is at work all day, and I thought about them both when I was doing this project, but especially Dawn because she's alone so often and it's really made an impact on her mental health. Considering the fact that both of my grandmas were being affected by this pandemic due to their susceptibility, it was a good idea for me to look deeper. And it turns out 1/4 of elders are experiencing pandemic-induced anxiety and/or depression nationwide. If you were to look at these individuals closer, you would see that many of them have actually experienced anxiety or depression in the past, and elders are more likely to experience past mental illness during the pandemic as a result of isolation. Many elders who live with family are still unable to go outside, so the presence of people has minimal impact on reducing their feelings of isolation because as soon as they step out their door, maybe to go see a friend or go to the park, they are highly at risk, and it becomes a battle between risking physical self or mental self. And the thing is, there may be countless more elders who are just not reporting their mental health issues. And it is more likely for this specific age group, 65 plus and even younger, but we are focusing on elders right now, to not report if they are experiencing high levels of depression or anxiety. And in fact, they may not realize this is what they're experiencing. For many, it was considered kind of taboo to discuss mental struggles. In their day, many didn't really believe things like depression and anxiety were real things, and you would have been perceived as weak or over emotional. My idea for combating these issues is an elderly coloring and activity book. My method for this project was not to replace mental health, but to encourage it and to promote mental well-being. A coloring book is kind of a private way to express yourself. A book won't gossip to others, think you are weak, and it only really serves, one purpose. So it's private and it serves as that escape to the world around you. There is scientific proof that coloring reduces stress and anxiety. It is a perfect emotional outlet that incorporates creativity in a way that you do not have to be an expert. To add on, for elders who are not well-versed in the topic of self-care and mental health, this book would provide a basic foundation to wellness and meditation techniques and provide suggestions regarding how to go and get professional help when necessary. Here's a general idea of what my book would include. So this is my front page, basically a general idea, not the official page, but kind of what I would like the final product to look like. Now, this is obviously a very rough draft of a coloring page. It was inspired by Moon River, scene from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Me and my grandma Doan watched this movie together when I was young, and I thought it was a perfect way to gain the interest of some of our elder folks who really like to watch those old movies. Lastly, this is kind of a rough example of an activity page. It would have some aspects of coloring, but mainly promote mental health and reflection. Now that we kind of know the product, I had to figure out how many could benefit from it and how to get in touch with them. There were 4 steps during my strategy to find out like a rough amount of the people. So I found out there are currently a little over 167,500 elders in San Diego City. Then I took the facts. 1 in 4 elders nationwide are experiencing pandemic-induced anxiety and/or depression. Then I took 25% of 167,500 to find the number 41,875. So that's the estimate. There are currently around 41,875 elders in San Diego City that could benefit from this coloring book. This is a lot of people. And when I first saw this number, I was really overwhelmed because it is really a lot of people, and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to reach everyone until we began looking into market strategies. So I actually currently have an internship with Pasadena Village, which is marketing towards elders to join the cause. And because of this, I feel pretty comfortable with this strategy. Social media is a great way to reach local people. And even when the target doesn't have social media, a recommender typically will. In terms of print, here are some examples. So newspapers and newsletters. Print is actually a great strategy for older folk, posting flyers, newspapers, and newsletters. I know if my grandma doesn't get her news from my mom, she actually gets it from, flyers around town, maybe in the laundromat, maybe in the local like post office or something like that. And she will get it from the print. So here are some examples of these methods I would implement. This is actually a flyer, an example of a flyer that I would use. This is a newspaper ad, and they all pretty much say the same things. This would be a newsletter, like through email or physical. And this is actually an example of a like Instagram post or Facebook post that I would use. Now, the kind of question that still remains is how much all of this will cost. And I made a chart. Firstly, let's talk about social media right here. Boosting posts on Facebook is kind of like promoting it on it, and it actually depends on you. So how much you are willing to spend in terms of print. I would be willing to spend 500 in my budget towards marketing in social media. Then a small newspaper ad cost around $50, and we could budget out 600 for 12 newspaper ads, which would be for 1 month in a year if we were budgeting for 1 year. Then okay, that was newspaper ads. These are flyers. So a flyer to print like 2,500, let's say, all around San Diego, it would cost $165 according to PS Print, and that's an estimate, so it wouldn't exactly be the same amount for every place that you would get the prints from. In terms of newsletters, it would cost $1,000 to produce around 500 good quality newspapers. If we were going to use email, because I thought that was a little bit too much, we'd cut it down by 500 to 250 good quality newspapers, newsletters, and then spread the word, send everything else by email. Essentially, altogether, marketing costs would be $1,765. And then in terms of the other expenses, it would cost around $2,590 to print 1,000 copies of the book. So that's per 1,000. Obviously, there's 41,000 people who I could target towards. Then in terms of the artistry, both of my brothers are actually artists. My eldest brother, he is a professional muralist around San Diego, and my second eldest, having graduated from an art school, and I would pay them $150 each to consult with regarding my drawings. Lastly, I would pay $250 for feedback. I would give 50 members of the elderly community a survey, kind of like a Google Forms or a printout, in which they would give me feedback in exchange for a $5 gift card. And I would do 2 rounds of this with at least 25 elders, up to 50 elders, depending on who comes in the second time. Now let's ditch that graph and look at the basics. Basically, marketing costs $1,765, production $2,590, miscellaneous $550, and that comes to a total of $4,905, just under $5,000 to produce this whole project. Obviously, it would only be covering 1,000 of the printed copies of the coloring book. Now, you might ask, how would we get started with this? What comes after? The majority of the work would be left to production. As you can see, most of it really is production. That includes making and finalizing the coloring pages, as well as printing them out. Secondly, marketing and selling would take up the rest of our time, the majority of the time actually, just because it takes so much into marketing and getting your product out there and catching the attention of others. Lastly, we have a little bit of miscellaneous. This includes getting in contact with charities, donating some of the proceeds, looking towards the future after we are producing and selling this product. I actually made a couple of steps. So the first step after this presentation, after we get started, would be to color pages, come up with ideas, consult with artists, just put the book together in general, just get everything done. Then feedback, ask elders and mental health professionals what they think, and then refine and keep working towards that final product. After it's done, we can market it out, use marketing strategies to get the word out. That includes social media, newspapers, print, flyers, newsletters. Then there's the fun stuff, produce the final product, sell books, donate books, and proceeds to charities, and then repeat. Now, that pretty much concludes the basis of the product and everything else in between, but I decided to do a little bit of a reflection on myself. Here are the major things I learned and took away from this project. Firstly, elders are one of the most vulnerable during the pandemic. They're having such a difficult time right now because of how hard this virus can affect them. And even though they may hide it, or we simply don't see them because they are quarantining, many elders are struggling. And we need to be aware of that and be available to help them if they need it. Third, there are many non-invasive ways to do this. We can reach out to them technologically, educate them regarding mental health, and update them about local news or globally. And that doesn't just have to be about COVID, because there's a lot more going on around the world. Fourth, I also learned how great of a tool coloring is. Scientifically, it's beneficial for reducing stress and anxiety. It is an escape into the pages and from the realities of life. Fifth, one of the things that surprises me the most about like producing a product is how much goes into marketing, and you can spend the same amount of time and effort simply into the marketing if you really wanted to, like the same amount of time as it costs to produce the product. Lastly, whatever talent you have, you can utilize it into helping the person and the people in need communities. Um, Perform, sell, raise money, complete a task for people. You can make a difference, and it doesn't matter what you're good at or what you think you can put out there. I wanted to end on this last quote. Children need the wisdom of their elders. The aging need encouragement of a child's exuberance. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing and answering some questions. You can reach me at juliehugh02@e3civichigh.com.